All right, so are you ready to dive into some seriously cool AI stuff today?
Always.
OpenAI just unveiled this new thing, Canvas.
Really?
Yeah, and it feels like ChatGPT just got a massive upgrade. We've got their blog post right here, hot off the press, ready to unpack this together.
Yeah, let's break it down. I think what's really striking here is how OpenAI is pushing beyond just, simple chat.
Yeah.
Like we've all had our turns trying to make ChatGPT write us a novel
Right?
or wrangle some tricky code.
Yep.
Canvas seems to be their answer to those challenges.
It really does. It's like they've been listening to our wish lists or something.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that stood out to me immediately was that this isn't just a chat window anymore. They're calling it a workspace,
Mm-hmm.
which, to me at least, sounds way more collaborative.
Exactly. And that shift to collaboration is key here. Imagine this. You're working on a project, and instead of feeding ChatGPT isolated prompts, it can actually see everything you're doing. The whole context of your work is right there on the canvas.
Yeah, that's a huge difference from how we've been using ChatGPT so far.
Hmm.
No more trying to get it to remember what you were talking about 5 prompts ago.
Exactly. Think about the possibilities. Let's say you're writing a long-form article. In the past, you might paste a section into ChatGPT and ask for feedback. But with Canvas, it's like having a co-author
Right.
who's been there from the first word, understanding the nuances of your argument and writing style.
And it's not just for writing either. They're bringing that same collaborative energy to coding, too.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes you get stuck on a chunk of code and you wish you could just ask someone to look at it?
Yeah.
Constantly.
With Canvas, you essentially can. It's almost like having a senior developer
Right.
looking over your shoulder,
Wow.
ready to help you debug or even translate your code into a different language.
Oh, wow.
The example they give in the blog post is being able to instantly translate Python code into JavaScript.
Okay.
I can see that being a lifesaver for developers. It's like having a universal translator, but for code.
And it highlights a crucial point about Canvas. OpenAI isn't just throwing GPT-4 at a new interface and hoping for the best. They've specifically trained it for this kind of collaborative work, teaching it to understand and respond to context in a much deeper way.
It's like they've taken everything we loved about ChatGPT
Yeah.
and added this whole other dimension of teamwork.
And speaking of teamwork, they're not just relying on algorithms here. They talk about using human feedback to make sure Canvas is actually useful.
Right, and that's such an important distinction to make. A lot of AI development relies on automated metrics.
Right.
Did the AI produce grammatically correct text?
Mhm.
Did it solve the coding problem? But with Canvas, OpenAI is taking it a step further.
So they're asking, is this actually helpful?
Yes.
Does this feedback make sense in the context of what the user is trying to achieve?
Exactly.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. And to ensure that level of helpfulness, they've incorporated human evaluation into their training process. So they're not just looking at whether the AI can technically do something,
Right.
but whether it can do it in a way that's actually beneficial for the user.
Which makes me think, what does it even mean to be good at writing or coding when you have a tool like this?
It's a question we're all going to be grappling with pretty soon. isn't it? The lines are definitely blurring. But going back to their training process for a moment,
Okay.
the blog post mentioned they used both automated A&D human evaluation.
Right.
That really piqued my interest.
Yeah, like how do you even measure if AI feedback is good?
Right.
What were they looking for?
I'm glad you brought that up because it gets to the heart of what makes Canvas different. A lot of AI training is about hitting very specific targets, right?
Right.
Generate grammatically correct sentences, write code that compiles without errors. But that doesn't necessarily equate to useful output,
Right.
especially in a creative context.
Yeah, my grammar checker can flag a sentence as too complex, but it can't tell me if it's actually engaging
Exactly.
or if it flows well with the rest of the piece. So how did they judge the quality of Canvas's feedback?
That's the million-dollar question. And unfortunately, the blog post keeps it pretty high level.
Okay.
They do emphasize that they wanted to move beyond just technical correctness
Okay.
and focus on whether the AI's suggestions actually improve the overall quality of the work.
So maybe they had humans compare different versions.
Right.
Like, here's the original text, here's what Canvas suggested, which one is better and why.
Exactly. It sounds like they were looking for things like clarity,
Okay.
coherence, originality,
Right.
elements that are much harder for an AI to assess on its own.
Yeah.
And that suggests they're really trying to make Canvas a tool that elevates the creative process, not just automates it.
Right, which aligns with their whole emphasis on this being a collaboration, right?
Yes.
It's like having a partner who can not only catch your typos,
Right.
but also help you refine your ideas and push your work further.
Precisely. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the real potential lies. It's not about replacing human creativity, but augmenting it.
Yeah. You know what else is interesting? They keep hammering home that this is just the beginning.
Yes.
They're calling this an early beta,
Right.
which means they're expecting things to change rapidly based on user feedback.
Oh, absolutely. And that's honestly one of the most exciting aspects of this whole announcement. OpenAI is basically saying, we've built the foundation, now let's work together to see what this thing can really do.
It makes you wonder what features they'll add as people start really pushing the limits of Canvas. What are some things you'd like to see them implement?
Ooh, that's a great question. One thing that comes to mind immediately is more granular control
Okay.
over the AI suggestions.
Okay.
For example, maybe you could tell it, I want feedback on the structure of this essay,
Right.
but don't worry about the word choice.
Right.
Or help me make this code more efficient, but don't change the overall logic.
Right. Because as amazing as AI assistants can be,
Right.
sometimes you don't want it to mess with certain aspects of your work. It's about having the flexibility to use the AI as a precision tool,
Yes,
not a sledgehammer.
exactly. And building on that, I'd love to see more sophisticated version control built directly into Canvas.
Okay.
Imagine being able to easily compare different drafts,
Right.
see what the AI changed,
Yeah.
and revert back to previous versions if you're not happy with the direction things are going.
It'd be like having a time machine for
Right.
your creative process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of the future, this whole development really begs the question, what happens next? OpenAI is clearly betting big on this collaborative approach to AI.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious to see how other companies respond.
Yeah, well, we see Microsoft Word with a built-in Canvas competitor,
Yeah.
or Google Docs getting a serious AI-powered makeover. It feels like the starting gun just fired for a whole new race in the tech world.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the big players either.
Right.
Imagine the possibilities for smaller startups or even individual developers.
Yeah.
What if you could build your own custom canvas, tailored to a specific niche or workflow?
Okay, now you're just getting my brain buzzing with possibilities. But for our listener who might be hearing about Canvas for the first time, what's the big takeaway here? Why should they care about this whole AI collaboration thing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think for me, it boils down to this. Canvas isn't just another shiny tech toy. It has the potential to fundamentally change how we approach creative work.
It's not about getting the AI to do the work for us. It's about working with it to achieve things we couldn't have imagined before.
Exactly. And that's both exciting and a little bit scary,
Yeah.
right? It challenges us to rethink what it means to be a writer, a coder, a creator in the age of AI.
It's like that moment when calculators first became commonplace. It wasn't about not needing to know math anymore. It was about understanding how to use this new tool to solve even bigger, more complex problems.
I love that analogy.
Right.
And just like with calculators, there will be a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see how education and training adapt to this new reality.
Maybe coding in the future will look more like knowing how to talk to your AI collaborator,
Right.
how to give it the right prompts, how to refine its suggestions.
Right.
It's almost like a new kind of literacy.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Oh.
And it's a future that's unfolding right before our eyes. Who knows what new possibilities OpenAI will unveil next, or what brilliant ideas users will come up with as they start exploring Canvas.
Well, one thing is for sure, we will be here to break it all down for you, right here on The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the future of AI.
The pleasure was all mine. Until next time, keep those minds curious.